Good. Okay.
Yeah, and we'll share again. We'll go up here to the slideshow. It's funny, on my screen, I've got right above the word Central Florida Computer Society, I have a picture of it. And it says you are screen sharing. It shouldn't be showing that to me. Oh, I see where. There we go. Okay. All right. Well, this is Mike Ungerman, and this is the Central Florida Computer Society's Social Club Coordination Committee meeting of January 6th, our first meeting of the new year. And participants, we have, let's see if it's going to show me everybody here. I guess while I'm doing this, it's not going to, let's see if it's going to, there we go. Okay, so participating, we have Huey Poplock, Forrest Cheek, Ted Goodwin, Dick Vogel, and Drew King. We may have one or two others pop in as we go through this. So as the first meeting for 2025, I wanted to tie up some loose ends from the dissolution of CFCS Incorporated. I want to review our status as a social club and plan the way forward for the new year. I changed the agenda a little bit from what I had sent out to you all, but we'll go through these 8 or so slides and talk to them as they come up. Joyce and I and Norm Griffin and his wife attended Stan Wallner's interment on the 27th at the Cape Canaveral National Cemetery. It was a full military honors ceremony. He had served in the U.S. Army and was a veteran and therefore qualified for it. And one of our other members, I don't remember his name, but he posted in the TechSig this picture of all the grave sites with the wreaths across America that many of the veterans organizations sponsor at all the national cemeteries, and they go around and they put wreaths on all the gravestones. So it was a very impressive area. Stan was in a similar area when they actually interred him in the ground. And we had a meeting after the meeting at Dixie Crossroads with Stan's family, which was very nice. The biggest item that was a holdover from the corporation was our bank account at Truist Bank. Mark Schulman, as the only remaining officer in office at the time of the dissolution, and I visited the Truist Bank. I believe it was on October 1st, and during that visit, we met with a bank officer, and she brought up the account, and she said, "You've got a balance," and it was around $350 or so. And we made a snap decision and decided to go ahead and use the debit card and my phone, and made a second donation to Christian Tech Center with that debit card, and made sure it was the exact, to the penny, was the exact amount that was in the bank account. And the officer then brought the account balance up and said, "Yes, your balance is zero. I can close your account out at the beginning of the next business day." We were there on a Friday, and so that was going to be a Monday. And she stated that it would be closed. And Mark said he was going to follow up with the bank officer. Unfortunately, he's had a death in his family and he wasn't able to do so. But we were pretty sure that the account was zero. I spoke with Linda Wallner on the phone first week in December, and she said she had a number of letters that had been addressed to Central Florida Computer Society at her house. I said, go ahead and take a look at them and see if anything looks important. And she said, I have a letter from the Truist Bank. And I said, go ahead, open it up, tell me what it is. And she said, it looks like it's a statement showing that we have a negative balance of $1.99 plus a $5 service charge from Truist Bank. And I said, okay, let's see if we can't take care of it. I got a hold of Mark. He said he would take care of it. He went to the bank and they would not talk to him. I said, no. I said, your name is not on the account, and you're not a signatory to the account. And he had brought the various forms that we'd all signed, or you had all signed, that were officers at the time of the dissolution. And he said, I'm sorry, that's all I can tell you is I can confirm the balance, but I can't do anything for you. So he informed me of this, and I said, that's not right. And I had the contact information of the bank officer that we saw. So I called her, and she said, well, come on in and we'll take a look at it. So I did. And that's about 2 weeks ago now. And met with her. She brought the account up. She said, yeah, what do you want to do about the $1.99? We can just write it. We just ignore it and it'll go into collections. And I said, no problem. I'll write you a check. And she said, well, I can't take a paper check, but if you give me your routing number, I'll do a draft. And I said, okay, do a draft. And she said, okay, and I'll write off the bank charges. So she wrote off the bank charges and said everything would be taken care of. So that's where it stands right now. We'll see whether the December letter probably should be in the mail or coming to Linda at this point. I'm not sure. So hopefully it's going to show zero. But I did ask the question, what happens if Google charges again? And she said it'll be denied. And at the time, thinking back to all our meetings and what Stan had planned on doing, we were going to take what we thought was the CFCS Videos Google account and upgrade it to Google One and pay it ahead of time. So we had additional storage for what we thought was going to be a lot of documents and pictures and things. And then just keep it paid ourselves if we needed to. And apparently Stan, instead of doing it on the CFCS Videos account, did it on his personal Google account. So I contacted his daughter, Reba, and I said, when you have a chance, go into his account and see if it shows that he's a Google One member and look for his payment authorizations in the account and see if there's a credit card on it and see if it's our debit card. And I also checked the CFCS Videos account that Huey initially created, and is the account that's used for the hosting of our YouTube. And there is no payment on there, and it's not a Google One account. So that counts fine. At any rate, it should be taken care of. To the best of our knowledge, it's all taken care of. We'll see. Which brings us to the subject of the Google accounts. So just the history is, and you feel free to step in and say anything if you like. The original Google account was CFCS Videos, which you set up. And initially all that was on there was the YouTube.
And YouTube does not use any of the OneDrive storage.
Right.
So it's just YouTube. So
yeah,
it doesn't matter if you have a now I say OneDrive, the Google Drive. Yeah, if we didn't even have that, let's see, well, you get the 5 gigabytes or something.
Yeah.
But none of that is affected by the videos on YouTube. YouTube stores it itself.
And we've stayed well below that 5 GB limit anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, but the YouTube doesn't use any of that.
Yes.
It's no matter how many YouTubes we put up.
Well, when the dissolution started, in order to keep the paperwork common for all of the people involved in the dissolution proceedings, instead of constantly sending emails to everybody, I used the Google Docs and Google Spreadsheet,
Okay.
and stored all of those documents on the CFCS videos site, and they're still there. And I have already zipped up a whole bunch of stuff and uploaded it just to see what kind of storage it's taking up. And it's less than a gigabyte at this point. So there's still a box of stuff that I may wind up scanning, but I don't see it going over the basic limits. And we're required by law to keep everything for 3 years. So the idea was we would just, Mark was going to keep all the paper, and anything that we wanted access to, we would put up on the Google Drive. So anyway, we haven't exceeded the storage space, and I've already talked about the fact that Google One was probably put on Stan's account. But at the moment, there shouldn't be anything attempting to charge anybody for storage at this point.
Mike,
Yes.
can I ask a couple of questions?
Yes, you may.
Where is the money right now?
What money?
Well, the bank account.
Zero.
Well,
And there is no bank account. The bank account has been closed, according to the bank officer. Signed, sealed, and delivered, closed.
so you have the money?
No, it's zero. On October 1st, when Mark and I went to the bank account, after all the donations had been made, all the authorized donations had been made, there was approximately $300 left. And the board of directors at that time had authorized an additional donation to APCUG for anything that was left over. But in order to close the account on the day that Mark and I actually showed up at the bank, we actually had to do an electronic transaction right there and right then. And APCUG does not accept PayPal. And that would have been the only way that I could have got electronically done a transaction to APCUG. Could have written a check, but none of us could have signed it. So we just decided to go ahead and go to the Christian Tech Center and make that last payment, $300 and whatever it was, $310 and some odd cents. And that was done instantaneously. That brought the bank balance to $0. And at that point, the bank officer submitted the account for closure. And the only reason apparently it wasn't closed is because Google presented that $1.99 monthly charge prior to the time that the computers the next business day should have seen that the account was closed and rejected the account. That was presented apparently before the account was closed. And that's why it had a negative balance on it. But at the moment, there's $0 and 0 cents, and the bank itself account is closed and the debit card is officially canceled.
Why was Google charging $1.99?
Because Stan was authorized by the board of directors to increase the status or level of what we thought was the Google, the CFCS Google account, which was CFCS videos. And Stan apparently thought he was signed into that account when he did it at his home. And he didn't. And the only thing we can figure out is that he was in his own Google account and used the club's debit card to to put that on. And in fact, there have been several charges. This all happened back in July last year. So there were at least July, August, September, October. There were at least 4 months of charges from Google that were processed to the debit card. And it wasn't done to the CFCS Videos Google account. So the only other account it could have been is his account.
Huh. So the club does not have any money right now.
Absolutely. By design.
Well, what's going to happen if the club has to pay for something?
Okay, that's another slide on here, but the club doesn't have to pay for anything. Note I use the term have to. We are now a social club in name only. We have no legal status in the state of Florida. We have no legal status with the IRS. We just have a name that we're using.
Wow.
Well,
And
I think you should have a bank account somewhere with just a couple of maybe $100 in it.
okay, so you personally then are willing to take on the liability to set that bank account up, to be the treasurer, assuming we had an organization, to file with the state of Florida as doing business, to file with the IRS. And oh, by the way, the previous tax forms were never submitted, and take on all that liability. Is that a correct statement?
No,
Okay.
I'm too old for that.
Well, and that was the whole idea. We're not the only ones doing this in the Association of PC User Groups. Ray Baxter, who is the president, okay, is the coordinator of a social group in Prescott, Arizona. And their group has done exactly the same thing that we did a couple years ago. They couldn't find anybody willing to be on the board. They were losing members. They weren't getting dues. And they just decided to do exactly what we did. And they've been operating for 2 years now. No treasury, no legal form. And it's working out fine. Should this group that we are now a part of decide that we don't want to be a social club anymore,
We just say we're not a social club anymore.
right? We're gone. Everybody goes their own separate ways. So
Okay.
we don't have a need. Notice I said a need, or I mean, there may be something that we want to do that requires some money, in which case we'll talk about it. And that's one of my slides coming up. And we'll see if we want to do that.
Well, if we were to have a meeting somewhere, how many people would show up?
That's also a slide. So let me get to that.
Okay.
I anticipated that. Okay, let's see what the next one is here. Okay, so we have Google groups. We've had Google groups since we used to have Yahoo groups, and I worked with Stan and rehosted all of our SIGs with social groups on Google groups right now. So we have a Tech SIG, we have an Apple SIG, we had a Linux SIG. All of them had Google groups. Huey's Windows SIG does not have a Google group per se. Huey maintains a contact list with people who are signed up for his monthly newsletter and those who want to be registered to attend the Windows SIG monthly Zoom meeting. So the communication doesn't require a Google groups. Could have one, but it's not required. And what I would like to do, and after tonight I was just going to do it, is just stop calling the Google group that's the Tech SIG and just call it the CFCS Social Club, because it's real. That's the purpose. Really, is just getting in touch with people that are on our email list and letting them know what's happening with the social club. There's very little on the Tech SIG Google group that's technical in nature, other than advertisements for the Discord BBS. As for the Apple SIG, I talked to Sean Kane last year, November-ish. He said he might think about restarting the Apple SIG again online, not in person. And I talked to him by email 2 days ago, And he said, well, I have got an awful lot going on right now. I'm not sure I want to do that. And I said, okay, that's fine. But the Apple SIG Google group is still there, and Sean is the owner of it because he was the SIG leader. Any other comments on Google groups?
No, sir.
Nope.
Okay. Okay, Zoom account. So CFCS established a Zoom account in Huey's name. He's registered for it. He's the primary contact. Central Florida Computer Society is listed as the quote company on the account. I've got access to it at the moment, and I guess it was last month whenever we did it. Drew and Dick both were shown how to access it so that if necessary, if Huey wasn't available, if I wasn't available, and there was a scheduled meeting, they could log in and start the meetings. So they have the sign-in procedures for it. The account itself, I checked. I don't know, Huey, did you go online since then and check?
No, I didn't, but it makes sense. The year kind of ended quickly.
Yeah.
But it was quite a few months before Stan passed that we went through the payment. So June does sound logical.
Okay, so here, Ted, is where an option exists. Okay, if we do not pay the $159.90, the account reverts to a basic account, which is what, 40 minutes for a meeting, and I don't remember the number of people that can actually be in a conference.
It's still 100.
Is it 100?
But there are some things that we can do now that we wouldn't be able to do if it was a free account.
Okay. So you and I spoke a little bit this afternoon. The question is, does the CFCS Social Club wish to keep the Zoom account a paid account and come based on donations, pay the $159.90? And so if we were going to do that, and we've already said we don't want a bank account, we don't want visible money coming in and being paid out for expenses. So Huey has a coffee account, very similar to Tech for Senior. And I don't know, do you get a paper trail, Huey, on that? When at the end of the year, do they give you a summary?
I don't know, because at the end of the year just came. I don't know if I will get a 1099 or a 1099A or something like that. I don't know whether I'll get one or not. I won't know for a couple of more weeks until the end of the month when that has to be sent, if something's going to be sent.
Okay. So if there weren't tax complications with all of that, and you want to keep your coffee account going anyway, would you, if the members of our social club were willing to use that coffee account and just donate whatever they felt they'd like to donate, and if it came up to at least $159.90, would you want to keep the Zoom account going?
Yeah, I would, and it would be, as part of the donations, would be one of the accounts that I pay for out of it anyway, so that would work out fine.
Okay. The other alternatives, I've already talked to Judy Tallur at APCUG. She said that CFCS can, as a benefit of our membership, use their Zoom account for the WinSig meetings, the main meetings, and the TEGSIG meetings. And she said, just let me know if you want to do that. So we don't have to let her know before June anyway. But it's nice to know that option is there if you want to continue using Zoom. And then we've used Jitsi Meet in the past. Sean used Jitsi Meet exclusively with the Apple SIG. And it's not as good as Zoom in terms of all the features, but it does seem to work. So there are things out there to allow us to continue to have, communications like we're having right now, and doesn't require a paid account in order to do that.
The WinSig I would want to keep as a Zoom meeting, but if I moved it over to Stug in their account, it would still be the same meeting. That if we continue to do the CFCS Social Club meeting directly after it, we would still have it then, and you wouldn't need the account from APCUG, but you would for meetings, for instance, like this.
Yep. For the texting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't think this has to be resolved now, but at least we've brought it up at the beginning of the year. And you'll have more information as to what kind of visibility your coffee donations has as far as tax liability is concerned. Because we don't want to put you in a situation where you're getting money from us and you've got to declare it as income and pay taxes on it.
Two other possibilities that I will suggest here, if it's appropriate. One is, does Discord have capabilities that it could be used in place of Zoom to hold meetings like coffee, the coffee thing?
Not coffee, but Discord does have video conferencing.
Yeah, video conferencing.
Yes.
That's really all we need. If we never have more than 10 people, which at the moment it doesn't appear we will, I was just thinking Discord might be another option.
Yeah.
That's one possibility. The other possibility is just merge with Stug. And
we did talk about that. And I know both you and Drew approached Stug with a possible merge. And I don't think their board of directors ever made a decision one way or the other, did they, Huey?
No, because there was really nothing to merge.
Yeah.
At the point, you had no idea how many members you had, and would any of them join? I think, Dick, you're a member of Stug, is that correct?
that is correct.
Okay, and I am, and Drew is. So it would mean that others would have to join as well, and then we're part of Stug.
Yeah, that seems to be the simplest solution.
Except even though Stug doesn't require that you be a member to sit in on their virtual meetings, to be a member of Stug, they want you to pay their dues.
Right, it's $30 a year.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I guess we table this until we get closer to probably the May meeting, and we'll bring it up again when we get some more information.
And by then, maybe I'll win the lottery and we won't have to worry about it.
Okay, so most of you know that we have a Discord BBS. And this actually goes back to 2020 when we set it up originally just to try it out. And in fact, we did use the video conferencing. We used it for members, and we also did it for the board of directors for one of the board of directors meetings just to see.
I don't remember that.
How it worked. Yeah. So it worked. I mean, there was the usual growing pains. We've got 67 actual members in our server, but in terms of people who are actually logging in and, every couple of days at least looking to online and looking at what's posted, I would say there's probably about 10 or 12 that are regulars. And many of the newer people just learned about it either from APCUG when we talked about it. I gave a presentation on it, and also from Tech for Senior. So it's fun. You and I both ran BBSs back in the day, so we know what managing a BBS requires. And if I'm online, as I have been, like for CES, just researching technical stuff, it's very easy for me just to have the Discord open in another window and go, click, copy, post. And the things that I've seen are now categorized and there for people to look at if they wish. So I think, go ahead.
And my problem is that I'm doing that for Stug, and I'm also doing it for Tech for Seniors in Facebook, and then to add Discord to it. And plus I have a Facebook group for the village that I live in. So it's just another thing for me to figure out a way to be able to get it to the Discord. So I haven't been doing a lot of posting.
No, and that's fine. Yeah. It's something that in my mind, I thought, well, let's let it go for 6 months to a year, see how many people are actually using it and how many people would be upset if all of a sudden it just went away and disappeared. And if it just went away and disappeared, there probably wouldn't be a lot of tears shed. But as long as I'm still keeping active with it, I'll keep it up and I'll keep it running and I'll keep promoting it.
Yeah. If you decide you don't want to do it anymore, if you don't want to do it anymore and nobody else wants to do it, then we'll close it.
Yeah. Or you leave it up and it dies a natural death.
Yeah.
They don't require that you have a certain number of posts in a certain period of time in order to keep it going. It's just there. So, all right, let's see. Website. Back in the dissolution process, we were paying for a website and we had a sponsor. We discussed it, decided to take the website down and let the sponsor know it was no longer needed. And the host for the URL itself is still with GoDaddy, and the account is paid through 4/29/28. Something else, Ted, that in 2028, somebody's going to have to worry about losing the URL. And I think we have a few years to go before that happens. But once again, APCUG has said if you wish, as a member, a benefit of your membership, you can register your URL with us and their host. And it turns out their host is also GoDaddy. So it probably would be just the rehosting of a one GoDaddy account and adding it to the other. Where are we on this? Oh, so the web account itself, Huey sent me a couple of free website things to look at. I looked at some free websites. I used to use a Google Blogger website for a couple of things, including my own technical website where I blogged for a while. And so I just set up Google Blogger in the CFCS videos account. Doesn't cost anything, and there's no data storage additions as a result of using it. So if you go to CFCS.org right now, it's forwarded automatically by GoDaddy to Blogger, and you're actually looking at the Blogger site. And all it does is have the links of our social activities on it. And when we finish this, if Dick and Drew and Huey have the time, I'll just review in a separate administrative session. We'll ask everybody else to sign off how I do that. And we'll leave the recording going and I'll edit that out, for the public, or I'll stop it and then start a new recording. And that'll, for posterity, we'll go over the procedures of how to maintain it. Probably take another half hour, I would think.
And Google does give you a free website development software and site if you wish to. And that's what we're using for Tech for Senior is a Google website software.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess if I had known that back then, I might have looked at that. I just figured that I didn't know who was hosting it at the time. So Tech for Senior, the URL how is that? Google's hosting that?
No, we are paying for the.
You are paying for that?
Yeah, otherwise it would be. There's a way in which it would be similar to the same way that you do with having APCUG account.
Okay.
I got something going on in the background because I said Miss G. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Is it my phone? Yeah, it's my phone. It's the other part of the room, and it's going to be. Never mind. Just let it yak.
Okay, you can mute it until you need to say something if you wish. Okay. Upcoming meetings. Sunday, Windows SIG, followed by main meeting. Drew, you still going to put something together for us? You're on mute.
I'm planning on doing a talk on the application or website called Portable Apps. And that's not going to cover the whole meeting. So I'm thinking of adding something to it. So that I can at least consume a half hour or so of time.
Okay. And we can do Q&A or round robin if we need to fill up the time. And Tuesday the 28th will be our tech sig. That's what I got. Okay, Ted. In-person gatherings. So during all of our planning to dissolve, the question came up is, would we have any in-person gatherings, whether that's just going somewhere for brunch, lunch, dinner, early dinner, or actually having an actual tech sig where we set our equipment up and broadcast. I'm going to be the first one to say I do not wish to organize this. So if somebody wants to come forward and say, I will organize this, I will find a place, I will find a suggested time, I'll help publicize it. But the question is, does this group want to have in-person meetings? And unless Drew's going to get in his car and drive up from Sarasota, and
Huey from Bradenton.
That's basically you, Ted, and Forrest, and Dick, and myself, and anyone else, maybe Lynn, if she's in I know, I'm trying to remember, Lynn, if you're actually in this area or if you're coming in from another location. But open discussion.
Well, I think that what we could consider doing if we wanted to have an in-person meeting sometime this winter or spring. I often meet people that I know who are in Orlando in a town called Lakeland. It's about an hour drive for people that live in Orlando and about an hour drive for people that live in Sarasota, Bradenton. And Huey's a little closer than I am. And we could we could pick a date and have a luncheon or a dinner or something at a restaurant, just so we have a meeting of something, just a social gathering.
Or Drew and I could meet at a Denny's in Sarasota or Bradenton. You guys can meet at a Denny's there, and we'll just say we're all together.
Yeah. Set up a Zoom meeting and have a hybrid meeting. We've done it.
But it would be an in-person gathering would be more of a social thing anyway.
Yeah.
But not as a regular meeting.
No, I just thought it'd be nice to meet, once.
Yeah, just shake hands.
Buddy Freddy's in Plant City is a nice southern buffet restaurant nearby. That's basically Lakeland area. I've eaten there several times. And then for those that like to see Corvettes, we can go by Stingray Ship. Take a look at Corvettes.
Well, if you had to pay for a room to hold this meeting, how would that be paid?
We wouldn't. We wouldn't. It would have to be.
We wouldn't. We wouldn't have enough people that we would need to rent anything. We would just meet at an establishment where we'll pay for food that we eat.
Be
And we
nice
say,
to
okay,
find an establishment that had a room that they could close off so that we could be separate from everybody else.
you wouldn't
I'm
have
sure.
to be.
I'm sure there are restaurants that have them, as long as somebody's willing to do the legwork to find one.
Well, there is one right up there by Mike's house. And MOAA meets there every month. And we don't pay anything except for our dinner, which is usually $25.
What restaurant is that, Ted?
I forget the name of the hotel, but
It's a hotel. Okay.
they got lots of rooms downstairs on the first floor that are made for that purpose.
Mhm.
I tried to get you to come to MOAA and you never do it.
I have too many commitments. I put it to you that way.
Well, you can bring your wife to this one.
Yeah, she does too.
What does MOAA stand for?
Military
Oh,
officers,
Association of America.
yeah, Association of America.
Yeah. I'm a lifetime member. I just haven't gone to meetings in a long time.
Yeah, I'm a lifetime member too.
Okay, well, I'm going to table this, but I'm going to basically say those that would like to do it correspond. Okay, use the TechSig email group. Somebody take charge, put a posting up on it, and say we're looking at having an in-person meeting. How many people would like to do it, and see what kind of response you get. Now, Huey may be coming up here in a week. May. That would have been an ideal time to try to get some people together while you're here in town, Huey.
yeah, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah. So
You want to do this monthly or every 6 months or?
definitely not monthly, but maybe quarterly.
I don't want to commit like that.
Yeah. I would say
Once in a while.
Yeah, once in a while. You know, we had a very nice gathering at Stan's Memorial after that ceremony at the barbecue restaurant. And even though it was more family than anything else, it was a nice gathering at Dixie Crossroads in Titusville. And so I can see, doing something like that. I'll just put that in somebody else's capable hands. So anyone that wants to volunteer to be a coordinator, do so. And we'll table it until that happens. Okay, similar question as we're talking about frequency of meetings. This is the first coordination meeting of 2025. Other than confirming that the bank account is indeed closed and whether we're going to have in-person meetings, I don't see any due outs from this meeting that would require a monthly status meeting. So I would like to say let's look at no more frequently than quarterly, and let's see what things come up in the future that would require scheduling a meeting. We'll still stick with the first Monday of whatever month that is, unless one of you wants to have meetings like this more often.
The problem with the first Monday is generally the first Monday falls after the first Wednesday. Then we have a Stug board meeting. However, this month, because the first Wednesday we canceled because it was New Year's Eve day or New Year's Day, our meeting is going to be this Wednesday. So our board meeting is next Monday, but that's unusual. So if there's a possibility that Drew and I couldn't make it.
All right, so we will make sure that we coordinate with you guys
Yeah.
to make sure that it's not on a conflicting Monday. So I know Forrest can't make a Tuesday meeting which we tried to do once before.
Or do it, 4 o'clock, and then I don't have a problem.
Okay. I'll try to keep everybody informed as to, I'm going to have lunch with Linda Wallner sometime in the next couple of weeks. And I want to make sure that she's gotten whatever additional correspondence shows up at her house. And she's going to pass that off to me. She said she found some additional paperwork on CFCS she wanted to give me. So we'll see whether or not there's any issues with the bank that get reopened. Hopefully not. Any other questions?
Yeah, Mike, can you back up to where you had those 2 meeting days? Okay, 3 p.m. Eastern approximately. Main meeting, Drew King.
Drew's going to be our presenter at the main meeting following the Windows SIG.
Okay, and January 28th is the Tech SIG.
Tech SIG, that's the 4th Tuesday
And where are these held?
on Zoom.
Zoom.
Oh, Zoom. Okay. January 28th. (7 p.m.)
Okay, any other questions that need to be answered or comments? Okay, I would ask then that those of you not needing training on being an admin, go ahead and leave the meeting so that Huey and Drew and Dick and I can go over how to manage the Discord and the website, logging in passwords, things like that.
Thanks for all you've done, Mike, and good evening, everybody.
Yep. Happy New Year to all of you.
Happy New Year, and I'm going to stop. I'll stop recording and I'll start another recording so we have a